Welcome back. Ready? Ready? Welcome back to Johnny Custom Glock's Frontside Press. We're back in business with Jeff, Cindy, Julie, and the lurker. Where is that handsome bastard? I know he's lurking somewhere.
He's in the kitchen.
We get yourself a beverage. We're going to get going because we got things to talk about, things going on. We're going to make it happen.
Hey, Cindy, is it going to make you a sandwich?
Make me a sandwich.
You get your bitch ass back in the kitchen and make me a sandwich.
Let's see who's harassing me.
Dude, man, you got a show going on, man.
It could be about the show, man. People text me about the show. They freaking call me.
That shit on vibrate. They are?
I'm still gonna see it.
Well, they should be texting you about it. They should know if they followed Frontside Press on Facebook or liked and subscribed to Musings with MGL. They would know to watch every Thursday around 8-ish for Frontside Press.
Where you at? 900 and what? How close are we getting to the
24.
1,000?
924.
You lost like 3 people in the last 2 weeks?
No, last week I was 923. I gained somebody.
Oh, how about that? People doing what they're supposed to. I
don't know. They may be another Russian bot. It's a weird name, and they don't have any other followers, or they've never posted anything. So it could be.
We gotta get the troops rallied. All right, so you guys got to go out, and here's a goal. If you're not subscribed to Musings with MGL, right? Go there and subscribe. All right. Now, that's all I'm saying, right? And what you want to do, what we're gonna do now is, you got to get a friend. We got to get him to 1,000. All right. You get him to 1,000, he gets like free hats or something like that. I don't know. All right. So we got to get him one. He's having nightmares about not getting to 1,000. So we got to get him to 1,000. He wakes up in the middle. He wakes up in the middle of the night and goes 924. All right. So
924. I lost somebody this week.
We need to get him up. We need to bump him up at least into the 930s and keep creeping. All right. So go to his channel, subscribe, watch some videos, like the videos. Let's get on a mission to get him to 1K. So he can be cool like me on Instagram. Now, all right, everybody get their beverage of choice. Remember, don't toast with water because it's bad luck. Throw some spectacles on here because I'm old. All right, ready? You ready?
Yep.
Everybody ready?
Get a lot of people watching already. 11.
We're rocking and rolling, man. We're
damn,
trying.
that's good.
They're trying to stop us. They're trying to stop us, right? It doesn't come up. The bell doesn't come up. It doesn't ring for people. Yeah. They're trying to stop us. Well, you know what? You can't fucking stop us because we're coming. We're getting a band back together, baby. It's going to be on. All right? To success, making more money to meet more obligations you wouldn't have if you didn't make so much money. Boom! You really shouldn't have the dyslexic guy reading the toast. Man.
All right. Yes, first Tuesday of the month.
Hey, we
have our guests, as always.
Because it's the first Tuesday of the month.
That's right.
That's right. It's the first Tuesday of the month.
Yeah. And burn, that's true. That counts as twice.
Kat, Corey.
They want some law knowledge being slapped on them.
Lewis.
All right.
Mike, don't forget to do toast tonight, says Corey.
He's always on me, man. We need to get him a shirt that says like Toastmaster.
Corey says, it would be funny if someone calls Mike on the phone on the live feed. He's working tonight, so he can't call you.
No, he doesn't.
I'm surprised Jimmy Kemp hasn't called me yet. Hey, what are you doing? Like you're watching the fucking show. You know what I'm doing.
Maria, Doc Maria's on.
What up, Doc?
Mike Claffin is watching.
Yeah.
Seriously?
So, yeah, first Thursday. So, before we get started, as you announced, big news. Our main sponsor, Johnny Glock, is coming back to Frontside Press. So, we're making the announcement this week. Next week, we'll have all his graphics again back up on here. We'll put his cool stuff there for the intro. We'll put a link to his YouTube channel because he's got one that he does as well, his shop, all that kind of information on there. But yeah, Johnny Custom Glock is back as our main sponsor starting this week. So we'll have all this stuff up next week. So as always, shout out to Johnny for stepping up for the Second Amendment community and helping them out. And if you need, what's the phrase? Give it, Mike.
Life is too short to have a Glock trigger that sucks.
Yeah.
There it is.
Fact.
So go see Johnny and get yourself some custom Glocks. I still never understood why they call it Glock Perfection, but then when you get it, you have to go get an upgraded trigger. But that's a story for another day.
It's not called trigger perfection.
But everybody should have a Johnny Custom Glock trigger in there. So go visit his site, get yourself a Johnny Glock. So first Tuesday, Law Day. What do you want to talk about?
Yep. We got a whole bunch of stuff. First of all, we're going to talk about what sheriff's department is that? Jacksonville? JPD?
Yes, yeah. Jacksonville Sheriff's Department.
That put out one and then they had to correct it. Can we put that post up there for a couple minutes so people can read it?
Yeah, we got it here. All right. I'll read it real quick. This was a post on their Facebook page. For the safety of both the citizens of Jacksonville and our officers, if you are stopped in person or in a vehicle by a police officer and you are carrying a concealed firearm, please calmly explain to that police officer that you have a gun on you. Do not pull out the gun at any time during your interaction with the police officer unless he or she specifically asks you to do so. Under this legislation, because this is all in response to the new concealed carry law that we have, under this legislation, law enforcement officers are required to ask you several questions pertaining to your eligibility for concealed carry without a license. Please be patient while the officer asks you these questions. These questions may feel invasive, but they are certainly not meant to violate your privacy. Here at the JSO, we respect your constitutional right to conceal carry firearms. However, officers have a responsibility to ensure that such carry is consistent with current legislation. So they put that on Facebook. Now, Cindy, what's wrong with that post?
Well, first of all, you don't have to tell them that you're carrying a concealed firearm, but you may want to, but that's okay. But for me, the biggest thing, now you're the criminal defense attorney, but for me, the biggest thing is where they're saying they're required to ask you several questions. There was nothing in the law about about having to answer police officers' questions. So I don't know. They just kind of made that all up. No. This whole thing was that whole, I don't even know if I'm trying to think if there's anything legal in that entire paragraph. Do not pull the gun out at any time. I agree with that.
Yeah, the only part of that paragraph that I think is probably a correct statement is do not pull out the gun at any time during your interaction with the police officer unless he or she specifically.
I'm carrying one of these.
That's the only sentence in that I would say is both legally and, in my opinion, constitutionally or morally correct. Everything else in there is horseshit.
Yeah, and they have a responsibility. And again, I'm not disrespecting police officers. They have a tough job. I would not want that job at all. But this is just so wrong. They don't have a responsibility. Their job is to stop. Well, what is their job? Job is to
serve and
stop
protect. Right.
Prevent crime, but mainly to mop up afterwards. I mean, really, the crime kind of has to be committed first. And just carrying concealed is not a crime per se. So I don't know. I'm just hoping all the drug dealers read this.
Yeah.
Can they read?
Yeah. I mean, the problem, a couple different issues. The main problem is, yes, we're all pro law enforcement in this group, but that doesn't give law enforcement the right to lie and mislead the public about legislation and laws and what the public's rights are. like they try and do that stuff during interrogations. Like I've seen it on videos where they mislead people, tell them what their rights are, tell them what they can and can't do, ignore them when they request lawyers and stuff. There are a small percentage of police officers who do that, but this is the official Facebook post of the elected sheriff for the department, basically out and right lying to the public about what the law says. You're right, Cindy. There is absolutely nothing in that legislation that requires law enforcement to ask you any questions about your gun or your carrying or your constitutional rights, or there's nothing in there that says that. You know, the first part is like, if you're stopped, please calmly explain to the police officer that you have a gun. That's a request, but the legal thing is you don't have to. We have no duty to inform in Florida. There's some people that like to do that, that say, I've always told people that, I think it's polite, et cetera, et cetera. That's fine. And there's other people that are like, I'm not telling them shit unless I have to under the law. And then there's people that kind of fall in the middle, depends on the scenario, the situation, the officer, et cetera, et cetera. But there's no requirement to tell them anything. So here they are. They're at least not misleading you and telling you you have to, but they're basically trying to mislead you by saying, please do this, which would give your a normal person out there, I think, a good faith belief that they probably have to. And then it says they're required to ask you questions. They're not required to ask you any questions, and you're not required to answer any questions. You don't have to tell them whether you have a gun in your car or carrying a gun or not carrying a gun. So, and then of course they try and say, oh, we're doing it for to ensure that such carry is consistent with current legislation. But again, you're right. Like, if that's the case, then they should just stop everybody walking down the street and say, are you carrying? Let me see your license. Let me make sure you're legal, because I have a responsibility to make sure you're carrying it correctly. Well, you can't do that without reasonable suspicion of a crime or probable cause for an arrest or detention. So it's just very misleading. And the second thing I hate about it is all the sheriff's departments did this. So right before, like the week or so leading up to this, every sheriff's department put a thing out on their Facebook page telling people what the law is, and 99% of them were wrong. Like, they were just wrong. They had inaccuracies in there. They had misrepresentations from the law, and it's either accidental, which means they're incompetent and don't know how to interpret the law, or it's purposeful, which means they're purposely misleading people about legislation. So I'm all for law enforcement. They serve and protect, and they do a hard job. I wouldn't want to do it either, but you can't lie to people about what their constitutional rights are and don't put it in a Facebook post.
You just think you're so smart
go ahead.
Because you read the law and understand it.
Right.
Oh, look at me. I'm smarter than everybody else. I actually understand what the law is. Now we got to listen.
I can read the English language.
Well,
so I just don't like them doing that.
Well,
my dog can carry because there's nothing that says he can't.
If you think about this law, what actually changed in this law? So before this law passed, all the bad guys were carrying concealed. After this law passed, all the bad guys are still carrying concealed. Now, some of the good guys are also carrying concealed.
Without paying $93 to the state of Florida.
Exactly. So, I mean, really nothing has really changed. The bad guys are still the bad guys, and they're still carrying concealed. The cops were not walking around asking them to produce proof of being a good citizen to be able to carry a gun.
Like, shouldn't they be trying to prove that they're a bad guy? Like this ain't the Soviet fucking Union. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that was really bad. When Jeff sent it to me, I thought it was a joke at first. I'm like, this can't be. He's punking me.
Oh, he's setting me up for Thursday night. I'm not falling for it.
Well, the good news is so many people went on their Facebook posts and commented, including places like Florida Concealed Carry Association, all these uppity people, and were like, yeah, that's not what the law says. Please tell us where it is. And they got hounded for days to where they switched it. And now if you go there, instead of saying under this legislation, law enforcement officers are required to ask, it simply says law enforcement officers may ask you questions pertaining to your eligibility for a concealed carry. And again, they can ask you whatever the hell they want, but you don't have to answer those questions. So
it's like this.
I don't know.
This is still fucking America, whether they like it or not. You know, and I'm tired of them, everybody dictating what they think the law should be. Right? Well, this is what, this is what your rights are. Like, those aren't my fucking rights. My rights are in a freaking piece of paper. You can go read them if you want. All right? Obviously, you haven't. Like, I'm sick of all this stupid shit. Like, stop lying to people. You know what I mean? Like, go read the Constitution. You want to know what your laws are, what your rights are? Go read it. Stop fucking making shit up. You don't have the right, to force me to tell you something. And here's the deal. I'm going to be devil's advocate on this because I don't like the way that shit was written. Right? Because honestly, if I get pulled over, the first thing I do is put my windows down, or I put my keys up on a dash, put my hands out so they can see both my hands. I don't see anything on them. And when they come up to the window, I honestly say, how you doing, sir? Or ma'am, whatever. I just want you to know that I have a concealed weapons license. I'm carrying a legal firearm. How would you like me to proceed from here? That's it. I want everybody to be calm in the situation. And I know my lawyer's going, oh, don't tell him anything. Like, because you just can't see him because he's not on the screen.
I'm saying people can say whatever they want.
Right? But that's it. Now, anything that follows them not like appreciating me trying to make this easy on them, then that's going to result in, what was it, a $267 ticket? But whatever the case, if they follow up with, Mr. McGowan, why do you think you need to carry a gun? Like, then we're going down that path, and that wasn't good for me, but I wasn't going to deal with it. You know what I mean? But, like, here's the deal. I'm trying to make your life easier. I want you to know that you're not going to get shot. I want you to know that I'm on your side, right? But anything that goes off that path, now we're done. That's it. Talk to Jeff. He's probably drinking right now. You should have a good time. There you go. That's it. That's how that works. Like, it's a hard job being a cop. I was on a job before in different places, and I want them to know that this isn't a hard job for you right now while you're pulling me over. I made a mistake. I'm fucking sorry. Don't be a dick about it. That's it. I've had cops thank me like that. I had one guy want to know why I want to carry a gun. We don't want to talk about that.
No. It is a funny story.
Well, and that's part of the issue is I get, you hear the anecdotal stories from everybody. You always get somebody that's like, oh, I always tell them, and they've always been polite to me, and I've never had a problem. And then people are like, yeah, I told a guy one time, and he's like, I need to see your gun, get out of the car. And then they took it from him and unloaded it. So, you just never know which cop you're going to get. So people just want to take their own stances. Me as a defense attorney, I'm never volunteering any information that I'm not required to turn over. I'm polite to them. I don't crack the window down an inch and go, here's my license, sir. I roll the window out. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I didn't know, did you know you were speeding? No, or whatever. Here's my license and registration. And then I've been calm about it. But I'm not going to volunteer and say I have a gun here, I have a gun there. And when they start asking questions, because we all get those questions, you got anything in your car, any guns, drugs, anything I should know about? Where are you coming from? Where are you headed? There's only one reason to be asking those questions is because you're looking for a crime. You're looking for a reason to search the person's car. You're looking for a reason to extend the detention past a speeding ticket. If it's just a speeding ticket, you walk up, hey, sir, how are you going? I saw you run a red light back there. Can I see your license and registration? You go back, you fill it out, you come up. Here's your warning. Here's your ticket, whatever. That is all that a traffic stop should entail. Any question that they ask you beyond that, what would be the reason to ask? Why do they care where you're coming from or where you're going or whether you have a gun in the car or you have anything else in the car or anything illegal or can I search the car? There's no legitimate reason to ask those questions. And my ex-law partner used to phrase it this way because people always talk about, oh, you want to cooperate with police and and I'm not saying you shouldn't or should or whatever. Every situation is different. But what he would say is the definition of cooperation is two people working together to achieve a mutual goal. Well, you and the police officer do not have mutual goals. Right. Your goal is to go home and not be arrested And their goal, because they're police officers, is to solve and detect crimes and take people to jail. So by definition, you can never have the same type of cooperation because you're not going to the same goal. So people are always free to make up their own mind about how they want to interact in traffic stops. But I think we can all agree that law enforcement shouldn't be misleading the public about what the law says and what people should and shouldn't do. People should know the law and learn it and make up their own mind about what they want to do. If you want to cooperate and tell them about it, go ahead. If you don't want to, go ahead. But you shouldn't do it because they lied to you on a Facebook post about it.
Exactly.
So Maria says, what should you say when they start asking those extra questions?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Just
You
sit
could
there
just
quiet.
say, yeah.
Why'd you pull me
Say, I
over?
don't want to answer.
My name
Right.
is such and such.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to answer that. I've
Yeah.
given you my license and registration, or just sit there and stare forward blankly.
Name, rank, and serial number.
There you go.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's just no reason to, again, it's like anything else. You want to be tact about it. You don't want to be like, fuck you. I don't have to answer that question. Jeff Young told me on musings at MGL. I don't have to answer that question. Like you should never do that, obviously, because that's never going to end well for you. But you could just politely decline to answer those questions, or just say nothing. Just sit there and quiet and go, I've given you my license and registration. I'm not going to answer any other questions. And most cops will just respect that and leave you alone. And then if you get the ones that don't, hopefully it doesn't get too far, and hopefully it can, or body cam footage, and you can sort it out later.
I can say this. And all the times I've been pulled over, not that I've been pulled over a lot, but I've only had one dickhead, and it was a guy from Sarasota. That was it. There was a Mr. McGowan, why don't you step out of the car? Like, and then it's like this. It's like being challenged to a fight. You know, my answer to that is,
Right.
why don't I step out of the freaking car? You know, now it's on. You know, and it's not going to end up any better. It's not going to go well for me right now. You know, but it's like I've done everything I can to make this easy on you, and you want to be a dick because I own a gun? You know what I mean?
So Maria says, you know they're going to continue to ask questions or ask why you aren't answering. So what do you do?
they
Nothing.
actually have
I just said, just say I'm not going to answer.
Yeah.
You just sit there and don't answer.
You have the right. to remain
That would be
silent.
my advice. I mean, if you want to answer them because you're late for work and you're like, I don't want to sit here anymore, so I'll tell them I was coming from home, I'm going to work, and I don't have anything illegal in my car, then that's fine. But the law doesn't require you to answer those questions at all. So you could just say, I'm not answering. Please give me my ticket.
That's right. I'm feeling a little drunk right now. We need to move on.
And then call Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, if you get a ticket, we do traffic tickets, by the way. So if anybody ever gets a speeding ticket or running a red light or an accident ticket or something, you can call our firm, Young Law Group. We handle tickets and stuff
A
all
little
the
late,
time.
but good to
We
know.
can get you, we can get you out of points. We can keep things off your insurance so your rates don't go up and stuff. So we do traffic tickets all the time. So if anybody ever gets one of those, obviously just call the office. But just you'll get a like you described, Mike. You'll get a pretty good indication on the way the officer approaches you as to how the traffic stop's going to go. Basically, right off the bat. And so act accordingly.
My theory on this is I want everybody to understand that there are more good cops out there than bad cops. All right.
Of course.
Like I said, all the times I've been freaking pulled over in my life, I've had one bad cop.
All the time.
One. Like it ain't like I'm not getting, I ain't gonna lie to you, it ain't like I'm not getting pulled over. All right? But in all the times I've been pulled over, one bad cop, one dickhead. That's it. The dickhead's gonna be a dickhead. You won the lottery or you lost the lottery. He's
Right,
gonna be
yeah.
a dickhead. Don't make the good cop a bad cop, because you don't know what kind of day he's having. You may be the 9th person he's pulled over, and the first 8 were total fucking assholes, right? And now you want to start shit with them. And it's like, hey, you can do whatever you want, man. Have at it. But I had a guy that appreciate so how I handled the situation so much he was actually mad. Like I thought he was mad at me, and he was mad at everybody else he's pulled over his whole friggin' career, and he's yelling at me. I'm tired of people reaching in their glove box and their Glocks in there, and they don't understand when I'm sticking my gun in their ear. And I'm thinking, I don't understand what's going on right now. And he just wanted to thank me for not being like them. So I'm just going to give you a verbal warning. I'm like, good, because the last guy was an asshole. But that's what you're going to deal with. Everybody understands that. Everybody's been pulled over. Like, I doubt there's anybody in here that's never been pulled over. Like, I know what my friends are like. I'd be very surprised. If someone's like, I've never been pulled over, I'd be like, bullshit. I don't speed. I use my turn signals. I'm very courteous. Like, my ass. I know you people. I know you. Jeff sitting back. Yep. He nailed it. Can you fix this? It's broken.
Oh, yes.
Well, the good news is we're now officially over a month into the Wild Wild West here in Florida, and I have yet to see
all the people getting shot,
spike in shootings or accidental shootings or arrest or anything yet. So far so good. The countdown is on though, but so far after a month we're doing good.
We're the same as we were before.
Yep.
All right, Cindy, what else is going on in the gun community? Bring us up to speed on some issues.
It's kind of quiet right now, but just a couple of interesting things that are happening. So last year? I'm losing track of time, but the Supreme Court in the New York pistol, I'll just call it New York pistol case.
The Brewing case.
They set up a whole new paradigm. I hate that word, but a whole new way of looking at gun laws where they're telling judges now you've got to look at the historical context, guns that are commonly in use, and they have a whole different way of looking at whether something passes constitutional muster or not when it comes to gun laws. So that was a great ruling for pro-Second Amendment advocates. But what it did, it's doing exactly what the anti-gun people thought it was going to do. It's making a whole lot of laws come tumbling down. And so just fairly recently, there's been courts around the country. I'm not going to go into details, but courts around the country are saying that certain things that have been on the books for quite a while are probably no longer constitutional. One of them is a person subject to a domestic violence restraining order. That doesn't mean they were convicted of any crime, right, Jeff? That's what you do, yeah.
Right. It's the injunction. It's basically when somebody gets an injunction or a restraining order for protection against domestic violence. One of the standard things that's in there in every order is you can't possess firearms, and that's one of the things that's on the list of prohibited people for federal law is if you're subject to a current, not a previous one that's expired, but like a current injunction against domestic violence. That makes you a prohibited person.
Yep. So one court struck that down and said that, no, that's not constitutional because that person committed no crime. Another court said that somebody convicted of a nonviolent felony, such as lying on your tax return, is prohibiting them from owning guns is unconstitutional. And then the third one is another court found that prohibiting people under the age of 21 from owning firearms is unconstitutional. So we've got these courts all around the country striking down these laws. A lot of these are lower courts. So
right, you got to remember they're lower courts, so they're not national rulings. They're lower circuit court rulings or district court rulings, so they do technically apply to the jurisdiction that would be in their district, but they're not nationwide. So I want to make people understand that, because every time one of these rulings comes out, there's YouTube videos and Facebook posts. Oh, this is struck down, a win for this, a win for that, and people don't realize that that's not what the new law is. That's just a lower ruling. But you got to start there. So yeah, sorry. So go ahead.
You got to start and work your way up the chain of command, basically. And but now appeals courts are taking these up. So the age 21, the full 11th Circuit is going in Florida, well, Georgia, Florida. They are going to actually be taking up the case about the Florida law prohibiting people under the age of 21 from owning long guns, from buying long guns. They can still possess them if they're given as a gift, blah, blah, blah. So they're going to be taking that up. So that's kind of interesting. And then the Supreme Court, just in the past couple weeks, said that they will be hearing the case from Texas about the guy that had the domestic restraining order against him and was arrested and I believe convicted of being a prohibited
firearm
person.
while having a right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and again, this is going to be a tough one for the court because here you've got a guy that beats up his girlfriend. Okay, he's not
Allegedly.
Yes, this is
Look,
true.
I can tell you,
Allegedly.
it is no. I practice in injunction law, like I do them all the time, and I'm telling you, it is very easy to get an injunction against somebody on the thinnest of evidence. To get a temporary one, all you have to do is go to the clerk's office and fill out an affidavit. It's a piece of paper. You write down, this person did this to me and I'm scared. It goes to the judge. They usually rubber stamp those, and then boom, you get a temporary injunction that's in place immediately without you even being there and knowing about it. It's just like a red flag law. And then you get your hearing in 2 or 3 weeks. And then a lot of people don't go to that hearing because they don't understand what the rule is. And they're like, well, I don't want to talk to that bitch anyway. So they don't go, not realizing that the injunction makes you a prohibited person, and it shows up on the TSA. So whenever you go to an airport, it pops up, it goes on your permanent record. So a lot of these, and I'll say guys, because historically and stereotypically speaking, that's the way it is. But a lot of these guys are like, I don't want to talk to that bitch anyway. So they don't even go to their hearing, and then they get an injunction and don't even realize that they're not allowed to possess a firearm. And there's lots of times people go to the hearings, they don't have lawyers. You're not entitled to a lawyer in an injunction hearing. Think about it. In a criminal case, obviously, you get a court-appointed attorney, at least a public defender, to represent your rights. But in an injunction case, when it comes with something like taking away a fundamental constitutional right, you're not entitled to an attorney. You don't get a court-appointed one, so you have to go out and hire an attorney. So a lot of people don't hire attorneys because they can't afford it, and so they go there without an attorney, and then they just get steamrolled by the judge. Now, the petitioner doesn't get an attorney either, so it's not like the woman, or again, I'll be stereotypical, so it's not like the woman gets a prosecutor. You both go in there unrepresented, but as the defendant, when you have the most to lose and you go in there unrepresented, you usually end up losing the case. And then there are times when you go in even with a well-qualified lawyer and things just don't go your way. You get a crying victim up there. There's no evidence to back it up, but she can be, crying or whatever. And sometimes you can persuade judges to grant these things when they shouldn't grant these things. I had one, and I'm not going to name it wasn't locally here in our county. It was in a different county further up north, but the judge granted a 6-month injunction. The parties were getting divorced. It was a custody battle. The woman went for an injunction, and the judge granted it. And the judge literally said, I think this relationship needs a Band-Aid so they can stay apart for a little bit while they go through their divorce. So I'm going to go ahead and grant the injunction. That's not a legal basis to grant an injunction, to say that I think this relationship needs a Band-Aid. You have to make findings that the person is in fear and yada, yada, yada. Instead, the judge just slapped on a 6-month injunction because she didn't think they should stay together while they're going through their divorce. That shit happens all the time when it comes to injunction court. So I don't disagree. I don't know anything about this guy. Maybe he does beat his wife. And obviously, if he does beat his wife, he's a piece of shit. Anybody who beats up their wives or spouses or partners or whatever, you're pieces of shit. But I wouldn't automatically assume just because the guy has this that he's done that, because I've seen too many horror stories in court. But I get your point that, it's easy to overturn not getting a permit in the city of New York and make a big rule. But now you're going to have to make a ruling that says maybe this guy didn't do it, but there are certainly people out there who justifiably have restraining orders against them. And now you're going to say that all those people currently and in the future are allowed to have a gun while they have a restraining order. So a court's going to find that the person is so dangerous that to this other person that they need to have a restraining order, yet it's okay for him to have a gun. Yeah, that's going to be Interesting.
It is, because we don't have a sympathetic defendant to speak of. But it's also, people have been brainwashed for so many years, because we all know, there's so many things. Oh, if you're a bad person, you cannot possess a firearm. But generally speaking, most people had to have done something to lose that constitutional right. Whereas, just as Jeff pointed out, a domestic violence restraining order, you didn't necessarily do anything. It's the fear that you could do it. And again, that's just like the red flag laws, which we've discussed tons and tons of times. But the other thing is, this guy, this one that fought, I believe the case was that he lied on a tax return. I think it was a tax return. And he, because nobody ever lies on their tax returns. But when you sign that tax return, you're swearing. So Mike is the only person in America.
He doesn't get pulled over, and he doesn't get tax return.
So, and if you look at historical, the laws of the states back when we first started, and, because remember, Second Amendment was never governed by the federal government until they stepped in the 1930s. That was the first time. So for 200 years before that, it was the states that had their laws. And generally speaking, the people who were prohibited from owning guns were people who were convicted of violent felonies. Violent felonies. The idea was violence is bad, and you were convicted of violence, so we don't want you having a gun. But somehow it changed from violent felonies into all felonies. So molesting a manatee, of course, the manatees are molesting themselves now, but anyway, I don't know.
But you can always claim you didn't know how old the manatee was, though, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, is that what it was? But anyway, yeah. So
it'll be interesting to see what they do on that. If they stick with the Bruin analysis, what they've laid out, I don't think they have any choice but to throw it out. The problem on that case is going to be Chief Justice Roberts, because I think the other four conservative justices will fall in line. Obviously, the four lefty justices will say no, and then Roberts, I think, because he likes to care about the integrity of the court more than anything else, he's not going to want the court to basically make a statement that says people with domestic violence injunctions or who abuse women can't have guns, because you'll have every pink-hatted person down there once again doing the Supreme Court, and I think they probably already pissed off women enough for the next 50 years with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. I don't think they're going to do it again with guns, but if they stick with it, they should. Legally, they should. And the last thing I'll say about it is, look, you know what that restraining order is worth?
Nothing.
Piece of paper. It's not some magic wand or a shield bubble that you walk around with that keeps you safe. If somebody wants to kill you and you have a judge sign a piece of paper and goes, "Oh, don't come near her," good luck with that.
All right, look, I'm going to let everybody in.
Don't stop bullets. It don't stop bullets.
If I get close to the speaker, all right? I'm going to let you in on a secret.
Don't stop bullets. Get yourself a
bad guy
better than any restraining order you can get.
Talk about laws.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. They don't give a fuck. Evil fucks do evil fucking shit. That's it. Don't tell anybody. It's a secret.
A Glock is the best restraining order you could get.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. They said restraining orders might be worth something when they're made out of Kevlar.
Right.
Well,
because think about it. If a restraining order is gonna be enough to convince the person to leave you alone, how big of a danger can they be in the first place? Because it doesn't do anything. If you're really gonna hurt the person, you're not going to care about that kind of stuff. So the only people that are going to follow a restraining order are technically law-abiding citizens anyway, and they would never hurt you to begin with because they're law-abiding citizens. So I don't know. The whole thing is weird to me. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
if there was only a place you could go that taught you how to fight with bare hands, guns, knives, sticks, all these things to fight evil fucks. If there only was a place, if it was going to open
like that, Mike.
in the future, maybe 4
We
months
could dream
from now,
one day.
we can dream if
we can
someone
dream.
would give that to us.
One day in the future.
Go ahead.
All right. Is there a limit on how much you can make a year to get a court-appointed attorney?
Yes.
In a criminal case, yes. To get a public defender, they have you fill out a financial affidavit, and you have to put in what your income is, and you have to write in what your assets are. Then that affidavit gets reviewed by the public defender's office and the clerk's office. They will also run a property check, through the government websites or whatever, to see what you own and stuff like that. And then if they determine that you can afford your own attorney, they will deny your application for appointment, and then you'll have to go out and hire an attorney. I do not know exactly what the threshold is, and it's not really just what your income is, because it's also what your assets are, because I've had people that have no income, but they own a bunch of cars and vice versa. So if you can't, everybody gets appointed a public defender at the first appearances. And then if you want one after that, you have to fill out the application, and then the clerk's office does a mathematical formula thing to figure out if you're entitled.
You and
Jeff, that's only criminal case.
Paying for attorney. Me and Cindy, the state is taking care of us.
All right. Scott CV wants to know, can we get a concealed weapons license, and should we? Yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, everybody
that
should get
motherfucker.
one.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead and answer that. What are the benefits?
Like, here's what you're gonna get. Do you need to go get a license? No. Do I think you should get a license? Yes. Not because I'm the guy that teaches the class and I want your money, because that is true, but that's not the case. Because it's like this: you're giving up shit. Like when they said we're gonna have, permitless carry. What they didn't say is, as long as you don't leave the state. Plus, I like to be able to go, I've had a background check done, and it said I was okay. So you can walk around without a gun because you fucking know more than me, because I've only been doing this for like 3 fucking decades. But anyways, you probably know more than me because you've had guns all your life. But if you ask the motherfucker,
here's what I'm going to say to that.
You get a license, and he knows he's just trying to act.
Well, here's what I'm going to say to that. The short answer is yes, you should still get one. The long answer and the easy answer is, if you have subscribed to Musings with MGL, I did a video like a month ago before the law came out saying, yes, you should still have your concealed carry permit. And I give a list of all the reasons why you should still have your concealed carry permit. So what you should do is, if you haven't subscribe, and then go back through my videos. You'll find about a month ago, I did 5 or 6 videos with this law coming up about all the different things about it. And you need to go back through and watch my series on the new law coming out, and you will find the video where I give you all the reasons why you should still have your concealed carry permit. That'll be easier than us explaining it again.
It's not whether you should or shouldn't get it. The question really is, why aren't you subscribed to Musings with MGL? That's the real question.
That's always the question. Because then you wouldn't have to ask these questions, because if you were watching all my videos, you'd already know the answers.
That's right. Go back in and watch them. We have about 3 minutes till shutdown.
Yeah. Any other last minute questions before I had a video that I was going to play and we were going to go over, but we'll save that for next week.
All right.
It's another self-defense video, but that's more of you and I's thing. So we'll go over that next week. I don't know, Cindy, anything else? Where can people find you? How do they know you? What do you do?
So I'm an estate planning and gun trust attorney in Sarasota, Minnesota Elder Law, 941-444-5958, minnesotaelderlaw.com. But the other thing I just did want to mention is that as far as I know, Jeff and I will be at the Two Guys Gun Show.
Yes.
What, next weekend? The 12th and the 13th.
I think it's next weekend, yeah. 12th and 13th.
Yep.
Robarts, whatever. Robarts Arena.
Yep. And so obviously we'll have all of our lawyer stuff there, which is usually business cards and things like that. But I'm also actually going to be bringing some of my artwork with me in case anybody wants to look at anything that I create.
What's that go for?
Oh, this one, this is a print. Let's see, this one, I'm bad at getting things in front of the screen. You can't even really see it because of the shininess, but this is just a print, an 8x12 print. It's $25. But I've got big canvases. I've got, and I don't just have Second Amendment stuff. I have pretty coastal things, pelicans.
Get you off Florida.
Yeah, man.
Hey, it's what I love. That's
Best
why
state
I'm
in the
here.
union.
Yep.
State in the
So
union.
I got odd things like trains. I love trains. So I have some cool things. Anyway, just
So yeah, next weekend, Robarts Arena, Sarasota, Saturday and Sunday, Two Guys Gun Show. We'll have a little gun lawyer booth set up there. Stop by, talk to us, ask us questions, say hi. We'll have some just standard stuff. Yeah, business cards, flyers, the usual. But we just like to kiss babies and shake hands or whatever it is. So we'll be at the gun show. Come by and see us. Like, subscribe. Yes, kiss hands, shake babies, whatever it is. So yes, come by and see us. And as always, any estate planning stuff, you guys got to get your estate planning stuff.
Yes.
Every day we're all getting, I don't know about you all, but I'm getting to the age where every day there's somebody on Facebook who's sick, dying, has somebody who knows that they're dying. It's starting to get a little scary. So
that's just
you got to
me.
have your estate planning. You'll live forever. Get your estate planning.
Yes.
Yep.
Otherwise,
yep. If I don't
like and
see
share.
you if I don't see you to do your wills and trusts, I'll see your family and probate.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you won't care. You'll be dead. So fuck them. They can fight over what they want.
That's what you get.
That's right. Like and subscribe, share. Musings with MGL, Frontside Press. Johnny Glock back. We'll have
back. The band's getting back together.
Glock trigger. Get yourself an estate planning. Don't shoot anybody. If you do, give me a call. We'll see you next Thursday.
Start liking and sharing because we got prizes coming in. We got stuff coming in from Sean Hilton.
Nice.
On the way. Frontside Press Glock blocks. Cool. All right.
I've been putting a bunch of stuff together to give out to you.
Thank you so much for putting up with Jeff's shit. I'm glad that every first Tuesday of the month you're on.
Well,
go get them to 1K. Play music. Take us out. Peace.
Bye, guys.